Hey there folks, before we begin today, I'd like to take a quick moment to thank the sponsor of this video. Alright, now we got that out of the way, it's time to talk about a rather serious issue. Poaching. No, not that poaching, the much more serious kind, roster poaching in collegiate athletics. For those of you who don't know, roster poaching will typically take place when a very corrupt and sleazy head football coach will get in contact with a sleazy, slimy, disgusting, corrupt agent, and those two parties will then come together and work out some form of a deal that typically results in said player entering the transfer portal for more money. This trend has been running rampant throughout college football and college athletics all over, and has resulted in a handful of legal battles, headaches for fans. It's even resulted in fans walking away from the sport altogether. But most importantly, it has resulted in a massive deal of sleep loss for head coaches. I mean, for God's sakes, these guys are aging like fucking presidents running a college football team. Now, believe it or not, despite the fact that this is very much commonplace in collegiate athletics, poaching is very much against the rules, and numerous coaches have stepped forward calling out for the NCAA to please do something to enforce the rules. However, the fact that there's kind of a lack of paper trails to prove it's going on, there's lack of a governing body that has a backbone, and the fact that pretty much every program in America, including yours, is doing it, enforcing these rules becomes less likely every day. But don't worry, because I've come up with a perfect solution to put an end to all of our poaching woes, and I'm about to reveal it out of the kindness of my heart. All I ask is that you like and subscribe this video so that I can actually start making money on this channel, because building those shelves wasn't cheap. So let's talk about the solution. If you want to get rid of poaching in collegiate athletics, you have to eliminate the incentive to do so. Think of the NCAA as a really overworked mother. She's got 132 kids that are running around the house, running amok, stealing cookies out of the cookie jar left and right, so much so that she's kind of just given up and said, do whatever you want, I'm not going to punish any of you. The idea that we're going to expect this entity to enforce rules upon 132 hellions is absolute lunacy. But what if we took the cookies and turned them into cookie dough? And again, bear with me on this one. What I mean by this is, right now, a player can enter a transfer portal, commit to a team, sign with that team, and once they arrive on campus, they're immediately eligible to play. The kid can have the cookie as soon as it gets in their hands. But what if they had to bake it in the oven and wait for it to cool down and pour a glass of milk? There was an incubation period. They had to wait. The incentive for you to go and steal something out of the fridge or cookie jar would be much less, wouldn't it? Which is why I have created the Christian Kirby Transfer Portal Incubation Rule trademark. This rule states that any player who starts in half or more of their regular season contest or appears in 40% of available snaps must be ineligible for the first 8 games of the ensuing season should they transfer to a new team, special teams not included. There's 3 omissions to this rule: graduate transfers, players whose head coaches have left, and FCS and Division II players. Now, how is this going to stop poaching in college athletics? I'm so glad you asked that. The root cause of all poaching comes from the fact that Team B has offered more money than Team A, so I'm just going to transfer to Team B. But now, if I'm a GM of a college football team, I'm not paying your ass $4.5 million so you can ride pine the first 8 games of the season. I don't even care how good you are. That's a bad investment on my end no matter what. Instead, I'm going to have to do things the old-fashioned way, paying high school recruits ungodly amounts of money under the table and then developing them into my starters. The Christian Kirby Transfer Portal Incubation Rule trademark will work because figuring out who's eligible and who isn't is so much easier than having to open up an investigation, figure out a punishment, find evidence that poaching actually took place when all of these deals are done through agents anyways. Plus, you can avoid getting taken to court over these things by simply signing these players to a deal that has them agree to this policy explicitly, such as national letters of intent or other legally binding documents that would immediately get swatted down in court instead of this ambiguous, oh, I was a D2 player, then I went JUCO, and then yada, 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 yada. You wouldn't have to worry about all of that. Now, if you pay attention to the language of the Christian Kirby Transfer Portal Incubation Rule trademark, you will notice that there is an explicit emphasis on the words available snaps. This means that if you are not on the active roster for a game, whether it be injury, suspension, or something else, those snaps are not available to you. This will prevent your starting wide receiver from sandbagging with an ankle injury all of a sudden because he got a call from another team midway through the season that they'd double his salary so long as he's able to play all 12 games next year. That'll mean something to some of you. It should also be noted that I have added the Luke Farrelly clause, which states that any player who signs with the team and re-enters the transfer portal within the same portal period must be ineligible for the entire season next year. I think we know why that one's in place. And look, I'm not so naive to think that this is going to stop transfer portal poaching altogether. The 5-star sitting on your bench is still going to get phone calls, and your backup quarterback's probably going to get offers year-round. That's just the way it is. But that's kind of what the transfer portal was made for, so that guys that didn't have a clear path to starting at one school could go to another school and be Justin Fields or Joe Burrow or any other transfer portal stories that we've seen the last 5 years. What it wasn't for was so the mid-tier starter could get a massive payday from another school and leave their old school in the dust. It just so happens that coaches realized they could abuse the system and throw money at other teams' rosters so that they didn't have to develop anyone and just get plug-in players. Now, we're dealing with a massive mess on our hands and facing the repercussions of that while those same coaches are crying for help. So, the ball is now in the NCAA's court. I've laid out the perfect blueprint to stop roster poaching with the Christian Kirby Transfer Portal Incubation Rule, trademark, and hope that the organization can do the right thing and turn cookies into cookie dough. Because if not, oh shit. This has been the Kirby Report.
Say I love you.
Love you.